right at the light, right? Okay, here we go. Well, welcome everyone to this 5th episode of Pocahontas Is. And as you know, Pocahontas Is a Facebook Live series that is sponsored by our historic preservation group, Five Rivers Historic Preservation, Inc. And if you have an interest in history, or if you just love Pocahontas and Randolph County, please consider joining our group because there's a whole lot to do, and most of it's a lot of fun. Tonight, well, my name's Linda Bowlin, forgot to introduce myself, and I'm a founding member of Five Rivers. Our cameraman and director is John Allen French, who is also an officer in Five Rivers. And our producer is Nathan Camp, filling in for Allison Schachtel, both of whom are officers in Five Rivers. Tonight, Pocahontas is entertainment. And we are so thrilled to be here at the Downtown Playhouse. And we're going to have a good tour of the Downtown Playhouse in just a minute. But first, a little bit of history. Now, as you all are aware, this building originated as the Imperial Theater. It was built in 1941 by the Smith brothers, Burris and Henley Smith, who also owned the Diane Theater a block away up on Van Bibber Street. Diane Theater, you'll recall, is the theater that blew up in the big gas explosion in the basement of McNabb's funeral home back in 1947. That was felt and heard for miles and miles around. But thankfully, this building stayed intact at that time. That was in 1947. The building originally was an Art Deco style, but it was the modern Art Deco style known as streamline architecture. And the streamline Art Deco style, the lines were more sleek and there was a lot less ornamentation. And interestingly, I'll bring that up to say this, that style is the first style of architecture to incorporate electric lights within the design. And this building, as you know, had the large columns of glass brick that were illuminated, which was appropriate for that style. This building also, and those glass brick are retained in the renovation also, which you'll be able to see on the outside of the building. This is the first building to have neon lights in Pocahontas. It's the first building to have air conditioning in Pocahontas. And it's the first building to have a real cold water fountain in Pocahontas. Now, the first movie in 1941 that was shown here was a movie called Blues in the Night. Blues in the Night was a musical film noir, and it starred Priscilla Lane, Ely Kazan, and Jack Carson. And it was nominated for an Academy Award for the song in the movie. And you all will recall the song. The song in the movie will kind of let you know kind of what era we're talking about. And remember, it was the song that went like, "My mama done told me when I was in knee pads." And my director's telling me, cut. But anyway, that gives you an idea of the era of this theater. This theater stayed in operation until the 1970s, and between then and now, it had various functions. Sometimes it was empty, but it had various functions until now. And everyone who's watching, who went here as a child to the theater or grew up in Pocahontas during that time period from the 40s to the 70s, is going to be so thrilled and excited to see this magnificent transformation of this building from the Imperial Theater into the Downtown Playhouse. And to lead our tour tonight, I'm delighted to introduce you to the Artistic Director and the General Manager, Kelly Grooms.
Hello, it's a privilege to be able to talk to everybody about what we've done with the Downtown Playhouse. I'd like for you to see in a little while what's going on in the space that I'm standing in. This is the lobby to the Downtown Playhouse. When an audience member enters, they give their name because reservations have been made for them to enjoy a show and a cappuccino and a slice of pie and so forth. And what they will see is this beautiful lobby, which has been transformed from the old days, made a little smaller. We got rid of the staircase that used to go up to the balcony and so forth. And they will see frames on the wall with narratives honoring some of our biggest donors for this facility. Without them, this would have never happened. These are the people that are responsible for having this old building give joy to families throughout the region once again. In a second, well, I'll tell you first that off to my right over here, you'll see a door, but it's nothing to show off at this point. But we do have a cappuccino room in there. We have people who do that homemade here on the site. We store our pies and our cakes in that room. And so we've made use of every little nook that we have in this facility. In a second, I'm going to move into the auditorium and introduce you to someone who's going to tell you what we did to provide an artistic renovation to a venue that is known throughout the entire region. So if it's okay, I think at this moment we can step that way. I have with me my very best friend in the artistic community and just in life, Harold Bowlin, who's been on board with every artistic endeavor that I've been involved with in all my years in this town. And it's Harold Bowlin. She could tell you the concept and the work that went behind turning this old building into the venue that it is.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That meant the world to me. You wanted me to cry. You said that so that I would stop talking and you would start talking again, which will happen in a minute anyways, if you know Kelly at all, that's true. This is, if you have not been to the downtown Playhouse, then you are seeing some remarkable things. People come in here and they cannot believe the walls and then the front and the sides of this place. Let's start with the walls of the theater. These were created really by two artistic geniuses, and I'm going to throw in a third with Kelly as the person that helped them do what they wanted done. But Kelly's son, Brendan Grooms, is the mastermind behind our 6 giant panels that represent some of the greatest Broadway shows of all times. We've got everything from Jesus Christ Superstar to Wicked, Death of the Salesman, Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, and Cats. And we selected carefully the things that would go up here. The idea behind these panels is the Broadway meets Beale Street. So if you've ever been to Beale Street, you know what all the theaters, all the restaurants and so forth look like with the giant panels. And we kind of went with that, with a Broadway theme. And these were concrete walls. And they had to chisel out the concrete. Brendan drew what he wanted these to look like. Let's look the way you're looking, so I'll point out Les Mis, okay? So he would draw out what he wanted up there. Kelly and Brendan then would chop away, chisel away the concrete, and then Brendan would come in behind that and paint the scenes. Is that basically how that worked? Okay. So you can see how amazing that is and what an artistic eye he has, what a talent he has. The other genius that works with us all the time is Donna Little, art teacher at Maynard School, and they have a gym in Donna. But you can see that the bricks along the panels and then beside the proscenium of the Playhouse itself are fake. So it looked like downtown Pocahontas. So she chiseled and made bricks out of
Styrofoam insulation.
very good, that is correct. Styrofoam insulation, and then they burned that clay and made the bricks. But it's all shaped like downtown Pocahontas, including the railing and, of course, the streetlights. We talked in there about some of the people that helped us get started. You'll see beside each streetlight some of our other people, donors, that helped us get this place started, made donations, and so we remember them with the flags on the streetlights. But that leads us to, Kelly, tell about how you made the Playhouse.
Yes, the beauty of the concept is that it was being implemented by a bunch of folks who understood simple art and stagecraft, so we were able to do it on a budget. Like our marquee lights that say Playhouse above the proscenium opening, and Second Act Productions at the back of the auditorium, which is the name of our acting company, were done on a dime. They are simple paper mache with Christmas lights. I think the ones over the stage cost us a total of $65. The ones back here, $125. And that's how we treated this entire project. To add to the Beale Street theme, we replaced the rock and roll imagery of Beale Street with the Broadway imagery. We replaced the Memphis, the deteriorating Memphis facades, which is kept that way by design, the patina, if you will. And we replaced it with Pocahontas. My favorite wall in here isn't even one of these. My favorite is the back wall. If you look at it, and I wish I had the lights on in the booth because they're part of the design, the blue lights, it looks like a storefront off of the square. And then you have the street lamps and so forth, thus the name Downtown Playhouse. Now, I guess I should talk about the main feature of the Downtown Playhouse, and that is the stage. We do 3 shows a year. We opened in July of 2015, so we've been open 5 years now. We do 3 full-scale productions that run for a month and a half. And we have customers that come from everywhere. Poplar Bluff, Missouri, Blytheville, Memphis, West Memphis, all of these areas to fill this auditorium for 6 weeks, with 6 weekends. And you have a coffee, or a Coke, or a tea, or a cappuccino, with your choice of 1 or 4 desserts. You sit down and you listen to a little bit of my old hippie music. You'll hear some Joe Cocker or some Eric Clapton, and it isn't quite your traditional theater music that you might expect during the transition into the performance. And then the coffee hour is over, and the lights go, and we have a full-scale production that usually leaves our audiences laughing or crying, and we get a lot of good compliments, mainly because we have a wonderful team of actors. And they're from all over the region as well. There are only a handful of us from Pocahontas, but we get our actors from Jonesboro, and from Harrowville, and Corning, and the like. So, yes, this is the Downtown Playhouse. What you see on the stage is the set for Rumors, which we spent a lot of money on, and it got cut short because of COVID-19. And it is still up because we just aren't gathering around to have people tear it down. But this is, we have some sets that are far more elaborate. We have some that are less elaborate. This is about a middle of the road, but the quality is what everyone comes to expect from the performances, the scenery, our props, and everything that you could possibly think about. So, this is what's going on in this little bitty building that people see. We get folks that come in from out of town, and the first thing they'll often say is, well, I feel like I'm in Chicago, or I feel like I'm in Memphis or St. Louis or something like that. And that makes us feel really good. And then when they leave, they're not talking about anything but the show, which is the way it ought to be. And I would encourage anybody locally who hasn't been to the Downtown Playhouse to make sure you come to our next event. Now, when it's going to be, I don't know. The coronavirus will dictate that. We were supposed to open a show in a week and a half. That's not going to happen, and we're hoping for one in the fall, late October through November.
You might talk about the value of our shows.
The costs? Yes, actually for less than a $20 bill, which is really good. That's coffee, dessert, and show. Tax and all, I believe, is $19.60. That's everything. And we have some wonderful teenagers that come out and will take care of you as our servers and so forth. It is a night out. It's 2 evenings. You have a night out at the bistro, and then you have an evening of full-scale theatrical production.
I think we've had a question about season tickets. Do you want
Yes.
to explain what we're going to do on that?
Season tickets. We sell season tickets. Where you get a reduced rate. You know, 3 tickets are $60 for a year. Season ticket will cost you a little under $50. And so if you wanted to buy them for Christmas presents or birthday presents or anything like that, we really, especially at Christmas, we sell so many season tickets. And it might be something for you to consider, especially in that last minute, stocking stuffing variety.
Tell us about your acting company, Kelly, and where do
The
you
acting
get
company, we call ourselves Second Act Productions, and we come from all over. As I said earlier, a lot of people recognize the faces we put on stage and just assume they're from here in Pocahontas. But where we get, 75% of our audience from out of town, and by the way, that's good, because in most small community theater settings, you get your locals, they make up about 200, 300 people. Well, we still get the 300 people from Pocahontas, but all the rest come from out of town. But so do our actors. We think we succeed well because of them, but they come here because we succeed too. We get that couple of people from this town that have the passion that Carol and I have. A couple of people from this town that share that passion. A couple more from this town. And this is where we all come together because we live it. People will often say to us, how can you possibly spend that much time out there doing that? I often say this is kind of like our duck hunting. And they often will know what I'm talking about. You know, a duck hunter will spend a lot of money on gear, get up early in the morning, stand in frozen water and wait for that bird to fly over. Hey, I don't know that I'm going to do that or not. But once you understand that passion, you understand our passion. Might not understand production, but you understand the passion. So the people we put in our shows are the folks who live it in that regard.
And then tell us about the set design and who builds the set.
Set design is actually my pride. I went to college to learn how to design. That's why with the entire facility, we treated everything like a set design. I was the designer of what you see on stage, and then our artists come together and bring that design to life. The people that my son and Donna Little, who actually did all the paint work on the set that you're seeing. She's our scenic artist, and Brendan does our portrait artistry. And my daughter and I pretty much build all the sets. Catalina. She works really hard alongside with me, and she's very skilled, and we just have a good time bringing this together.
That is great. We talked about Backstage, and of course Backstage really is just the kind of the dark passageways that the actors go through.
It is. Backstage surprises people. For the folks from out of town, who don't really see this as a movie theater, they assume this stage has 25 or 30 feet of wing space on that side, the same over here, and 25 or 30 feet behind the set, which you do in most live theatrical facilities. So you have curtains which block the light, you can walk around. Here, we navigate in the dark. I mean, it's not completely dark. When lights are up full, you get a little bit more light, but often we have these little gadgets, and not cell phones either. They kind of bleed under the floor of the set, but we have these little gadgets that get us around backstage, and it's extremely tight. If you were to ever walk behind one of these sets, after watching us run around in front of you, you would not believe just what the cramped quarters are like in the downtown Playhouse. And I'm actually proud because when we put our productions together, we factor that in. When we design routes to get from point A to point B behind the set. In a bigger theater, that just comes automatically.
Now, what about like dressing rooms, or where do your actors go between scenes and that sort of thing?
Well, actually, this is 2 buildings. If you look at what we've done to the outside, we've tied it together to look like one. We have the building next door that a lot of people will remember as Tom Rackley's barber shop, and then if you go further back in time, it used to be a grocery store and stuff. So what we've done is we've cut through the wall, one at the back end of the auditorium and one over here behind the stage, and it allows us to do a full loop. And our dressing rooms and our scene shop access and all of that, and bathrooms for the actors, are all in the other side. And so we're officially 302 North Mar, but the other part of us is 300 North Mar. I often joke to our audience, you know, if you go to the bathroom and you have an accident while you're peeing, make sure when you call 911, you let them know you're in 300 North Mar because they won't find you.
Very funny, very funny.
Any other questions?
Let me see. We have, well, we don't have a question on Facebook right now, but what about, you've already mentioned season tickets.
Sponsors,
do you
right?
operate in your finances? Do you operate on donations
Exactly.
or ticket sales or what?
We do. I'm kind of proud that we've not taken tax dollars, knock on wood, at the downtown Playhouse. We survive off of two components. One is donation. We're a 501c3. We have an annual fundraising drive in the fall, and we do really well with that. And ticket sales, which I think motivates us to give you good quality. We don't want our audience to come in feeling like they're supporting a good cause. We want a fair exchange of goods. We want to make sure when you leave, your money was well spent. So, yeah, that and sponsorship. When people will fund a show by putting their name on a show, that's how we support our operation financially.
We have a question from Facebook. What are going to be the next shows when you are able to open? Are you going to just do this season, or do you have new shows?
What we're going to do, we had season ticket holders for this season. And Rumors was the first show, and we got halfway through it. Lost a ton of money, obviously, like everybody, and still losing money. We got a $9,000 booth being put up on the next over here. So what we've decided to do is we've called our season ticket holders who purchased for this year and asked them to move them over to next year. That way we don't return the money. Their Christmas presents and all that are already purchased. What we hope to do is to open a show in October. It won't be a season event, obviously, and we'll just sell admission to it. And hopefully that will help us recoup what we would have gathered in the season ticket drive.
So you think you'll open with Rumors, or will you open?
No, we won't open with Rumors probably, because obviously we would only sell 50% because half of our base has already been to it. We're tossing a couple of titles around. I don't know if I want to announce them yet, but I think one title I will mention, first show of next season, will be a crowd pleaser, starring Carol, by the way, and a very good friend of ours named Vicki Bishop, that a lot of people know, wonderful vocalist, and we're going to open next season with Always Patsy Cline. We do know that, and but it's kind of hard right now. When you plan a season out here in something as small as this, you have to plan with who you have at each slot in the season. And since coronavirus isn't letting us know what those dates are, we're not going too far past. Now, come October, we will announce a full season for next year. But we'll start with Patsy, Always Patsy Cline.
And how many seasons have you had here at Downtown Playhouse as it is?
We opened in July of 2015 with A Time to Kill. And this is it'll be 5 years in less than a month, all right?
That's great.
And we did actually 2 shows prior to our first season. So it's kind of like, that didn't count as a season, obviously, because they were kickoffs. But what was that? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We've done 5 seasons plus the 2 prior. And that's a lot of shows in a relatively short period of time. It took us 15 months to renovate the place.
And how do you select the shows? Do you base it on what you know your audience likes, or do you try to push the envelope for us?
All of that comes into play. First of all, I want to do something I know our audience is going to like, all right? But I'm going to have to do something I know our audience likes that we can do well based on who we have. As much as I want to do Death of a Salesman, I might not have the actors for it, so I'm going to find something else that we can do that they like. About once every 5 shows, I like to do something a little heavy. Why? Because that's my favorite thing to do as a director. That's my art. That's what I like to do. So we opened with A Time to Kill. I wanted people to know this is who we are. You know, we've done Night Mother. We've done you know, a lot of heavy shows, but the majority of them are kind of fun, comical, and lighthearted. So yeah, we do like, when we say push the envelope, I don't do anything that you wouldn't want to bring your grandma to or your preacher.
Yeah.
But we do some shows that deal with depression, the memory challenge, so forth, that kind of give you food for thought on how to deal with people in your world and stuff like that.
Now, are you the director for most of the shows, or do you have other people that you can call in to direct?
I direct all the shows at this point at the downtown Playhouse. You know, I'm getting old, so who knows what the future will hold there. But, you know, but no, I am the director at the downtown Playhouse.
Great.
And I would like to brag on Carol one more time too, because she's one of our star actresses out here.
Well, she is.
Yeah, she really is. She really is. And
Except Night Mother, I wanted to choke her in Night Mother.
and people are going to enjoy.
I'm only coming over here because John Allen told me to, not because I want to be seen. Go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, you know, Carol, you will see her a lot in our shows, and we work together a lot behind the scenes on planning the seasons, fundraising, and then in, you know, the director-actor collaboration as well.
Well, you said, if you don't mind, Mike, you said that Night Mother, you wanted to kill my character.
I wanted to choke you.
You wanted to choke my character. That's probably one of my favorite things ever, because it was the most difficult thing I've ever had been called on to do. I think of myself as a comedic actress, and Kelly gave me the opportunity to play the mother from Excuse Me, Hell. And in part, she had a very soft heart. Anyway, it was a difficult role that I was given the opportunity, and most places don't do Night Mother, don't do shows like Night Mother that causes your audience to sit on the edge of their seat.
That's exactly what it did and what you did. I mean, you were excellent in that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
To the point where people were moved to scream practically.
We've had people say that they had to sit in their chairs for several minutes after the show
Yeah.
ended because they couldn't get on their feet, and I give that to the playwright,
Yes.
to my fellow actress, Emily Weisbach, and
Well, and like I said, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. 4 or 5-to-1, where we go with the fun stuff. But you know, as artists, I'm not an artsy-tartsy person actually, but as our artists, our responsibility sometimes is to kind of put some difficulty in front of you. I don't mean shock. I mean give you things that make you learn a little about yourself that might make you feel uncomfortable. And I think Night Mother does that. The Boys Next Door does that. Time to Kill, definitely. Actually, Time to Kill would be wonderful in this day and age with all the stuff that's going on.
Yes, it would be.
And it gives you food for thought, you know. And I really like, on occasion, doing that stuff.
And another one that, oh, excuse me,
no,
Carol.
I was just going to say that's a great idea. It was our first show. A lot of people probably didn't see it, and it might be good one of these days to bring that one back.
Yeah, it's very poignant for the time.
Yeah. And also related to history and local history, Kelly, you wrote a wonderful play based on some events that happened here in 1901, the Chivalry play.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, that really left you troubled and thinking.
Troubled about maybe your own ancestors.
Exactly.
Maybe about your own, because it was about a true event, an ugly night that happened here in this town. You can debate all day back and forth whether we were right, meaning Pocahontas citizens back over a century ago, whether we were wrong, whether this and that. But that's the beauty of that play. You will get people, and I've had many say, we fought about it all the way home. This, you know, that's what we like to do.
Yeah, and I hope one day that you'll be doing it again, and I suspect you will, because we have so many historical events here.
I don't like to sell, since I wrote it, I don't like to sell something like that to out-of-towners who come in. But it's good for a Founders Day, so I'm sure we will do that again, you know, on those occasions, for one weekend or something, for locals to come and learn about that story. Yeah. True story.
True story, an interesting story, and many very challenging questions are brought up in that. But to change the subject a little bit, tell us about how you two, separately I assume, got interested in theater, and about your background in theater.
Okay. loved it all my life. Wanted to be an actress from an early age. Went to school, studied at Arkansas Tech, got my bachelor's degree in theater, and went on to University of Arkansas to get a theater degree there. Wound up back in Pocahontas, which I certainly never intended to do, as so many of us that grew up here did not.
Me too.
Came back here, and have been amazed to be able to have spent 30 years acting with acting companies together with people here that I admire and enjoy, and that's just unheard of in a small town. So I am very grateful that Kelly has the talent he has, as you can see on this stage, as you can see when you see the shows he directs, and very grateful to our good friends. If I can go ahead and mention Mike and Jake Foster before he gets a chance to answer your question.
Yes.
They're Mike Dunn and Jake Foster, who recognized Kelly's talent and asked him when this theater became available if he would be willing to take this job on. He's a full-time teacher at BRTC, so he has a full-time job. This is a volunteer job for everyone connected, by the way, in case we haven't mentioned that. The only people that are ever paid, and they're paid by our audience members, are the waitresses he mentioned earlier. But Mike and Jake saw the potential and asked Kelly if he would do that, and when he was willing, that's what got the entire ball rolling on reinventing this theater.
With an excellent team of
Yes.
art enthusiasts, donors, and so forth that go back with us from the past. And if you start getting the naming them, you get in a little trouble. But there's a core of actors and performers and set people, but there's also a core of community supporters out there that they're the reason all of this has taken place.
Well, I personally, and I think I speak for a lot of people, appreciate so much that you took this building and renovated it with such love, and it has survived, and it's a wonderful.
Linda, I'll tell you my favorite part of the entire experience has nothing to do with on stage. It's when it's the from 4:30 to 6. When we all come in, we start lighting everything up, lighting the candles, the coffee, you smell the cappuccino and all of that, and you hear, and then the doors open, and then for an hour, you hear the audience buzzing and laughing and having a good time.
Yes.
I like that more than the
People
shows.
love it.
I'm not just saying that. I love the coffee hour.
Yeah.
Because this building is doing what it was always intended to do, bringing that kind of joy to families, to people, and it's back and it's in action.
Yes. Well, now tell us about your background, Kelly.
Well,
How you got involved.
I too, I have a master's, bachelor's and master's in speech and theater, and my emphasis was in design. All through school, thought I was going to major in music. I'm a musician, actually, and while I was doing that in baseball and theatrical competitions and so forth, I was in a competition with an actor of ours, Mark Beagle, many know him, and I was offered a scholarship, and I thought, okay, I'll take it. And that's what I ended up doing. And then what I decided to do, a lot of people don't know this, my master's degree was in building theater programs in rural communities in Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma.
Oh, cool.
So I wrote a 6-hour thesis, published it on how to do just this. So that I wanted to come back. Unlike Carol, I wanted to come back and do just this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, that's really, really neat. Well, now, we talked earlier about how some of your financial backing is through donations. Can you tell the audience if they have a mind to donate, or if they want to think about it at the end of the year as their donations, how can they send a donation to you?
We are 501c3. There's a tax deduction that goes with your donation, and people can mail it to the Imperial Dinner Theater. Imperial Dinner Theater. That's where I spent 20 years. They would probably appreciate that, by the way. Hey, and by the way, I would encourage you to donate to the Imperial Dinner Theater as well.
Yes.
But they can send it to us at Downtown Playhouse, 302 North Mar, and we do it every year in the fall. And our fundraising has really done us well. The fundraising campaign is the only outside source that we get, other than sponsors. But well, which is actually
and it has sponsors. Yeah, good. Can you think of any other questions? Well, if you have any final words, we're just thrilled that you participated in our Facebook Live series, because this is part of our history, even though it's brand new and beautiful and wonderful. And we're just thrilled that you were able to participate with us tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.